Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about a very emotional subject. Mother's Day is around the corner, and the other day I had almost like a feeling in my heart that somebody might want to hear this or somebody needs to hear this. I don't know, I just knew like I need to make a video about this, and I think it's the perfect timing right before Mother's Day for all you mamas out there that need some encouragement, that need some love, that needs somebody to say you're doing a good job, because you are. So I figured this would be a good way to kind of get my feelings across to you. And I think the first thing I'm going to do is start by telling you my story as a mom, how it all started for me many years ago, and where I am now. So for those who don't know me, I'm 26 years old. I have two boys, Zion, who is 6, and Noah, who is almost 4, meaning my hands are very full, and so is my heart. So I'm gonna backtrack to the time that I found out that I was pregnant with Zion. Taras and I got married super young. I was 18 years old, he was 24, and I remember when we got married, we briefly discussed being parents, when that would happen. We never really made a timeline. We just knew we wanted kids, and that was that. So fast forward 5 months, just 5 months into marriage, we found out we were pregnant. So I'm going to say that was a very unexpected but a very good surprise. And I remember waking up the morning that I found out, and I just knew, like for sure, without a shadow of doubt, that I was pregnant, because I just know my body, and if my period is late, that means I'm pregnant. Like, it's always been on time all my life. So here I was, one day late, and I remember it was a Saturday morning. We were getting ready to go to the beach and have a good day together, which we did. And I remember coming home and thinking, you know what? I should probably take a test. I'm pretty sure I'm pregnant, but I'll just take the test. I'm a day late. Let's see what happens. And as I expected, I was pregnant. It was a positive, like bold line, like, girl, you pregnant. And Taras was there with me, and we were both, even though I knew, I was still shocked. You know, just to see it there, it's like, whoa, this is for real as it gets. So I remember us being so excited. Like, just every good, happy feeling you could think of, we were feeling it together. It was amazing. Like, he wasn't being like, I know guys can feel a certain way when they find out their wife's pregnant. I mean, for him, like, we were just over the moon. That's all I can say. We were just so happy. And I remember that we had reservations that night, and so I'm like so excited. We're gonna go to dinner, talk about my pregnancy. It's gonna be great. I'm going up the stairs. I get into my room, and I start bawling my eyes out, like weeping like a little baby, because all of a sudden that whole rush passed, and I just was like punched with the biggest fear, like out of nowhere, just complete change of attitude. And I was literally sitting in the room bawling, like crying for 10 minutes straight. Taras comes in and he's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Are you okay? You know? So it took me a while to get back to myself, and I don't know, it's just like all this fear started coming in, and I started thinking like, whoa, this is exciting, but I'm 19 years old. I just turned 19 a few months back. I'm like, just got married, just found out. Like, it's a lot. It just, I don't know, it just, something just took over my body, my mind, my emotions, and I just started panicking. I was just having, I can't say an anxiety attack. Gosh, I can't even say that word. But it was close to that. It was just a lot of like fear and a lot of like the unknown. It was just freaking me out. We went to dinner, we came home, and I remember I took 2 pregnancy tests, obviously both being positive, and I sent a picture to my mom and to my sister, and I wrote like, guess what? Oh my goodness, they were so excited. And my mom called me, and I will never forget this conversation. She called, and mind you, I'm acting brave, I'm acting happy. I mean, I was happy, but it was more fear in that moment. But I'm like all excited and optimistic on the phone, and it's like she read right through me. And I remember she said, I'm not gonna cry, go let that pass, hold up. She said, don't be scared. I know you're scared. Don't be scared. And then she said, I know what you're thinking. You're going to wake up with this baby. You're gonna go to sleep with this baby. You're gonna go shopping with this baby. You're gonna cook with this baby. You're gonna bathe with this baby. Like, this baby is going to be with you 24/7, and you feel like you're not gonna be able to escape. That's what your mind's telling you. And that's exactly how I was feeling. That's why it was so scary to me. So if somebody's feeling that way, hold up. It's not like that. That's like a pivotal moment in my life. And that was, I hope that this is for somebody who needs to hear that. It's not the truth. It is, but it's not. So when you have a baby, yes, you are tied down for a very long time, every single day, especially in the newborn stage. There's no sense of them being independent, obviously. And she just kept saying it's different when it's not your baby, but when it is your own baby, it's not like that. It's the most amazing feeling. You don't feel like it's a nuisance or it's some kind of burden. It's just like a blessing that nobody can explain until you're there. And after that conversation, I just felt so much better, thinking my mom had seven of these. Like, obviously she knows what she's talking about, you know what I'm saying? So that kind of guided me through my whole pregnancy, is that hope that, listen, I didn't have to say anything to my mom. She spoke exactly how I was feeling. There has to be truth to that. So fast forward, my pregnancy was amazing. I had no complications, thank God. Very smooth, like no sickness, nothing. And that was actually with both pregnancies, with Zion and with Noah. Labor is a different story. I won't even get into that. The only thing I'll say is epidural doesn't like me, and I don't like it, I guess. It doesn't work for me. I just kind of felt everything, the whole process. It is what it is. But moving along, I delivered Zion, and I adjusted to motherhood so easily. And I remember, and that's not like a bragging thing, there's still a whole chain connected to the story. I remember like, wow, I can have 100 of these babies. Like, this is amazing. Great pregnancy. The labor was a little tricky, but everything else is amazing. He's sleeping well. He's eating well. He's amazing. I have no issues whatsoever with him. Yeah, he had some hiccups with sleeping here and there, but the majority of time, it was amazing. It was easy. It was breezy. It was great. I loved it. I loved being a mom. I loved having a boy. It was everything I could ever have dreamed of. Taras was such a good dad. He was such a natural. They were two little besties. It was so amazing to see. And of course, that also helped us go the next step to having a second child. Like, we just couldn't wait. So when Zion was about 1.5 years, we started talking about bringing in baby number 2. And in that moment, though nobody knew, I was hoping for a boy, and that's exactly what happened. Thank goodness for me. So then fast forward to pregnancy number 2. It was like the perfect timing. Everything happened so smoothly. Again, my pregnancy was amazing. No complications, no issues, no sickness, nothing like that. But then there were just some bumps in the road. Obviously, you can't always have smooth sailing. I was 37 weeks pregnant, and I went into labor pretty much at midnight. I remember thinking, man, I have a cramp that's just not going away. And it's probably something to do with the baby coming soon. And I got admitted into the hospital. I had an extremely, extremely long labor all through the night. Obviously extremely painful. As I mentioned, the epidural just doesn't kick in for me. But I had Noah. Everything was great. I remember being super tired after that delivery, actually. With Zion, like I said, I bounced back. I was ready to go home that day, like clean my house. It was great. With Noah, it was definitely a different experience. Took a bigger toll on my body. Just like the hours after labor, I was just so weak, which wasn't what I experienced the first time. So it seemed like for me, everything was opposite. Usually when it's your first child, everything's really hard. Pregnancy's hard. Labor's hard. Adjusting's hard. It's all hard. And for me, it was like everything was so easy. Everything was so wonderful and peachy and beautiful. And then I had baby number 2, and I'm expecting it to be like the easiest walk in the park, and here I have like a completely different experience, like absolutely different. So I remember perfectly well being in the hospital with Noah, being super weak, super tired, and starting to feel like, wow, if this doesn't pass, it might be a very rough couple of days, you know, coming home, adjusting, having Zion there. And at that time, Zion was 2.5, so at that age, obviously they're very busy little bees. So the doctor came in to talk about discharging me and Noah, and I remember him saying that Noah's bilirubin was a little bit higher. So they said, we'll discharge you as long as you guys allow us to send like a home nurse or a traveling nurse to your house the next day to check up on Noah. And I said, sure. But in my head, I was like, she's gonna call me and I'm gonna be like, no, we're fine, we're all cool. I'll just wait till I go to like the pediatrician. That's what I was feeling in my mind. I just wanted to go home and start feeling normal again. I wasn't thinking about having some nurse come and check up on me and my baby. I just didn't want it. But anyways, I went home and I remembered the nurse calling me the next morning, or maybe it was 2 days after. And she was like, hi, blah, 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 I'm the nurse. I was gonna come in and see you guys. And I was just so close to just being like, honestly, I don't want to see anybody. I'm okay. I'm going to take Noah to the nurse, oh my goodness, to the doctors, which we did have an appointment scheduled for him to go to the pediatrician in a few days. But something in my heart was saying, just let her come. Let her come do her job. I told the doctor I'd allow it. Like, why am I going to say no? Just let her come in. So I remember sitting on the couch with Noah, and she comes knocking on the door. Taras opens the door for her, and she looks over from the front door, and I'm sitting in a completely different room holding Noah, and she says, oh my gosh, he's really yellow. And obviously in that moment I'm like, okay, like I know he's jaundice. I know that his bilirubin's a little bit higher, but she seems really alarmed. So she was like, do you mind if I run to my car and get the kit so I can prick him, get his blood work back, and see, you know, you'll know in an hour if it's high, if it's, you know, if it's all okay. So about an hour later, I have the doctor calling me and saying, you guys need to rush to the hospital with Noah. His levels are extremely high, like extremely high. They rose really quickly within 2 days. Like, you guys have to come in. So Taras and I quickly packed whatever we could for Noah and I, because the doctor did say that there's a chance that we're going to be admitted. Noah and I would be admitted into the NICU for a few days. So we got to the hospital and they said that his levels were 25.3, I believe, which is extremely, extremely high. And I knew, like, I noticed that he was sleeping all the time, and they're saying that when a baby's jaundiced, they sleep more. Like, how much more can they sleep? They already sleep all the time. And he wasn't eating that much, but the doctor told me it's not a big deal. You know, they don't need to eat that often. Just have them kind of latch on for a bit and off and things like that. And again, this is all happening within like the first 2-3 days of me giving birth. I remember that there were 2 doctors from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. They came in to introduce themselves to me, and I had so much fear and panic. I'm reliving the fear right now. It's insane. They were just saying, like, we don't really see numbers that high. We do want to prepare you for what may come. You will be obviously admitted. He's going to go under the phototherapy light situation where he's like in that little box container type thing. And they were saying, since his levels are so high, you cannot take him out, you cannot breastfeed him, you're gonna have to pump and give it to him, and we're gonna keep monitoring him, and worst case scenario is there's a chance that he might have brain damage because of this high bilirubin. And oh my goodness, woo! And then they were saying, like, don't be surprised if someone comes like in here to take him away for a blood transfusion, because that's a potential thing that might happen. I just remember like feeling like, why is this happening to me? Like, everything was okay, everything was peachy, and all of a sudden I'm dealing with like a nightmare all within just a few hours. It was just like such a crazy experience. I just remember I was bawling like a baby for literally the whole day. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I just didn't want any attention. I didn't want my family to come. I just wanted to be left alone with Noah. I was just so fearful. It was just such a scary experience. I will never ever forget that feeling, those fears, just being in that room and feeling like I'm completely alone. Even though obviously I had so many people that were loving on me, I just felt like, why is it still so sensitive? Noah's all good and happy and healthy now. It's just like that feeling, man. I remember my mom calling saying, like, I'm coming, I'm gonna bring all your favorite food, I'm gonna go do this and that. And I just kept saying, Mom, I don't want anyone here. I just want to be left alone. the one person that I wanted there was Taras, and he couldn't be there because he was with Zion, and Zion was having his moments. It was just like such a whirlwind of terrible emotions at that time. I remember Gana, my brother-in-law, who's married to Alina. Shout out. I remember him texting me saying, hey, I'm working, because he worked in that hospital, or he still does. And he kept saying, do you want me to stop by? Do you want me to bring you something? And I just kept saying, like, please, I don't want anyone here. I'm like, thank you, I just don't. Then I remember like an hour later, I hear a knock on the door. I think it's the doctor coming, and it's Gana like peeking in. He's like, hi. And I just started weeping again right when I had it all together. It was so nice to see him. Even though I thought I didn't want anyone, like I didn't want the support from anyone. It was so nice. He was like my comfort at that time. And then Taras came, and then my parents came, and everybody just kept coming, and I felt so much better. So that's another point of my story, is when you feel like as a mom you're going through something super tough, and you feel like nobody gets you, you know, nobody understands your emotions, nobody understands your frustrations. So it's like people just want to be there for you anyway. People still want to love you. People still want to show you that they care, even when you feel like you don't want it, because if you let them in, it makes everything so much easier. So we were in the hospital for 3 days, and slowly his bilirubin level was going down, which was amazing. I was bottle feeding him the whole time, and that also made me feel really guilty, even though there was nothing I could do. I was just not allowed to hold him. I think that was the hardest part, when you have a newborn and you want to cuddle them and you want to have that skin on skin time. I was just not allowed to do that. I remember bringing him home from the hospital after his levels fell down to a normal level. Oh, thank God we did not have to have any kind of transfusion. We didn't have to do anything crazy, and he's 100% healthy. There was no damage to his brain. There was nothing like that, thank God. But I remember coming home and trying to settle for a normal life with 2 kids, and it was just very hard. Noah, he was a very bad sleeper. He had his days and nights mixed up, so he'd sleep all day and be awake all night, literally 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. And I remember thinking, I am gonna go crazy. But that passed too. And the moral of the story is, whatever hardship, whatever storm that you think that you're in, there really is a light at the end of the tunnel. I think as moms, we tend to compare ourselves to other moms, to those who you think have it all together. Maybe they do have it all together. The point is that every single mom has a different experience. Every single mom is a different kind of mom. Some deliveries are amazing, some deliveries are terrible, some pregnancies are amazing, some pregnancies are terrible. Some, you know, the whole 0 to 12 months could be so easy for someone, and then it could be so hard for the next person. That's something I learned. My kids were polar opposites, like completely, and they're still opposites. So I struggled a lot with just trying to find like balance between both my kids, because what worked for one didn't work for the other. And I think that's just such a big challenge in motherhood, period, is if you have more than 2 kids, you got to figure out what to do with all of them. And again, going back to comparing, I feel like, especially in this day and age with Instagram and Facebook and all the social media, we do compare ourselves a lot. And I think that it's so unfair to do that to yourself, because you're so unique. And I tell myself that every single day, that when I have a really hard day with my kids, I tell myself it's okay. I'm doing the best that I can. Like, this is my all. It doesn't always work out. I have a lot of hard days with my kids. I do. I feel like if I am having a hard day, it is because of my kids. They can drive me up and down the wall. But I love them so much. And when they sleep at night, I always sneak into their room and give them hugs and kisses and miss them and love on them. It's like a roller coaster that doesn't stop. Sometimes you're on the flat road, and then you're back in the tubes, twisting and turning. And that's the beauty of motherhood. And I love that we are all so different. So I know that when I'm struggling with something, it's nice to know that maybe a different mom has a different perspective that might help me. I remember hearing something like, your kids just want a happy mom. They're not looking at whether your house is clean or whether there's food on the table. Obviously, they would probably love that, but they notice when you're happy. Your kids totally understand when you're in a rut. Like, they feel it too. And I constantly tell myself that, like, pull yourself together. If I'm having a bad day, I tell myself it's okay to have a bad day. Let's start and say that. Like, it is okay to have a bad day, but it's also very important to pick yourself up and get out of that situation and find things that make you happy. For me, I feel very happy when I'm put together. If my hair is done, if my makeup's done, and I look in the mirror, I feel better about myself. I don't get like anxiety, because if I feel like I'm not looking my best, I don't feel my best. So some important things to remember are, number one, let people in to help you even when you feel like you don't want or need the help. That emotional support is so important as women, I feel. Find yourself a group of moms who are open, who share struggle, who uplift you, who encourage you. I feel like that's so important, to truly surround yourself with moms who are in the same boat as you. Number two, find time for yourself. Take care of yourself. Do what makes you happy, whether that's going to the nail salon, to the hair salon, going to the gym, taking a walk, going grocery shopping, going to Target, whatever it is. Find that time. I feel like that's so important. Like self-care, self-love, that is so important as a mom. Number three, it's not important to see what the other mom's doing or where the other mom's going or what the other mom's buying. None of that is important. You have to do what makes you happy. You have to find something that works for you and your family. It's important to establish a good family dynamic that works for all of you. We finally found that dynamic. Now that my kids are a little bit older, I feel like Taras and I finally have it figured out. We finally are like on that flat road where it's easier and things are just more natural and the kids are more independent, and it's just a great time. So those moms who are going through a tough time right now, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It will get easier, 100%. It's all truly just a small part of your life that may seem tough right now, but there is hope, I promise you. I wish you all mamas the best Mother's Day. I hope you always feel. I hope that you always feel like a good mom. Know that your best is good enough, that you don't have to keep trying to climb an unrealistic scale that's not there. Just find happiness, find that balance, and you will be a-okay. And if anybody needs a friend, I'm here. You can DM me on Instagram. I can connect with you. I can connect with your family. We're absolutely open to new friends, and we would be more than happy to have you in our lives. I'm so thankful for those moms in my life that truly just make me a better person. I'm crazy. I am a handful, but I'm thankful for those mamas who love me. You know who you are. And thank you for watching.